8, 2, multiplying and factoring. It is asking you to find out the greatest common factor. So let's take a closer look at that. What the greatest common factor is the largest number that can be divided out of more than one number. So what we're looking for is the largest number that we can divide into both 21 and 49. That number will be 7. So then we look at the letters, the variables. You will look and see which is the largest one that can be pulled out. The trick here is look at the smallest variable. Here we have x squared, here we have an x. Since we have just an x without an exponent of 2 or something larger than that here, you would just take an x out. So 7x is your greatest common factor. So now what we do is we need to divide both of these terms by our greatest common factor. 21x squared divided by 7x. 21 divided by 7 is 3. X squared divided by x is x. 49 divided by 7 is 7. And x divided by x is 1. So we have 7x and then in parentheses 3x minus 7. So that is our answer. So typing in our answer, whenever it says factor out, you need the GCF and what's left after you divide it out. So we have 7x parenthesis 3x minus 7. That is number 1. Number 2, it says multiply. So we're going to do the reverse of what we did for number 1 and distribute. So we have 6x times 3, which is 18x. Then we have 6x times negative x, which is negative 6x squared. That is number 2. Number 3 says to multiply the monomial and the polynomial together. So let's take a closer look at it. So we're going to have to distribute 3x to the 4th times 5x. We have 3 times 5 is 15, then x to the 4th times x is x to the 5. Now we multiply 3x to the 4th times 4. 3 times 4 is 12. We don't have a variable next to the 4, so we just write x to the 4th. So we'll have plus 12x to the 4th as our answer. So typing in, we have 15x to the 5th plus 12x to the 4th. And that's number 3. Number 4, it says find the product. Let's take a closer look at it. Alright, so again, we're going to have to distribute. So we have negative 5y to the 3rd times 7y squared. Negative 5 times 7 is negative 35. Y to the 3rd times y squared is y to the 5th. Now we distribute the negative 5y to the 3rd to the 2y. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. Y to the 3rd times y is y to the 4th. So we have minus 10y to the 4th. Now we have negative 15y to the 3rd times negative 3. Negative 5 times negative 3 is positive 15. And then y to the 3rd is positive 15y to the 3rd. So this would be my answer. Typing it in, I have negative 35y to the 5th minus 10y to the 4th plus 15y to the 3rd. And that's number 4. Number 5 says to find the GCF of the terms of the polynomial. When it says find the GCF, all we want to write is the greatest common factor. You don't have to factor it out. Okay, so we look to see what's the largest number that can be divided out of each individual number. First, the coefficients. So 14, 70, and 35. The largest number we can divide out is 7. Now we look at the z's. We look at the one with the smallest exponent, which is z squared, and that's what comes out, the z squared. That's the GCF of the variables. Remember, our question was only asking for the GCF, so this is our answer, 7z squared. So we type in 7z n squared. That's number 5. Number 6, it says the factor, so let's take a look at it. So the first step is to see if we have any GCFs. So we look at 2 and the negative 10. Now the largest number that can be divided into both of them is 2. You could divide both 2 and negative 10 by 2. Dividing 2a by 2, I just get a left. Dividing negative 10 by 2, I get negative 5. So my answer would be 2 parentheses a minus 5. And I could check my answer by distributing. So distribute the 2 and a, I get 2a. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10, so it checks. So let's type it in. So typing it in, I have 2 parentheses a minus 5 parentheses. That's number 6. Number 7, we are factoring out the greatest common factor. Since it says factor out, we need our greatest common factor and everything left after we divide it out. So let's take a closer look at it. So let's look at our coefficients first. We have 42 and negative 30. The largest number that can be divided out of both of them is 6. You can divide 42 by 6 and 30 by 6. And it's the largest number that you can. So now we look at our variables. We look at the smallest variable, which is x, not the x squared, so that means we take out the x. Now dividing 42x squared by 6x, 42 divided by 6 is going to be 7. X squared divided by x is just x. So we have 7x. Negative 30 divided by 6 is negative 5. X divided by x is just 1. So we have 6x parentheses, 7x minus 5 parentheses as our answer. So we have 6x parentheses, and then 7x minus 5. And that's number 7. Number 8 is asking you to remove the largest possible common factor. So that means we need to factor it out to include both the greatest common factor and what's left after we divide it out. So let's take a closer look at it. So we look at our coefficients first and see what we can divide out of each of them. The largest number that can be divided out of each of them will be 5. So now we take a look at our variables. The smallest variable is going to be x, not the x squared or x to the third, so I'll take out an x. So now I divide each term by 5x. So 10x to the third divided by 5x. 10 divided by 5 is 2. X to the third divided by x is x squared. 15 divided by 5 is 3. X squared divided by x is just x. Negative 20 divided by 5 is negative 4. X divided by x is 1. So then my answer would be 5x times, in parentheses, 2x squared plus 3x minus 4. So let's type that in. So we have 5x parentheses 2x squared plus 3x minus 4. And that's number 8. All right, number 9. A circular mirror is surrounded by a metal square frame. The radius of the mirror is 2x. The side length of the metal frame is 8x. What is the area of the metal frame? So let's take a closer look at that. But before we do, notice how we need an exact answer in terms of pi. That means for our formulas, we will not be using 3.14, we will be using the symbol pi. Okay, so let's start out by drawing our circular mirror that's surrounded by a square metal frame. So our radius is 2x. Now, a radius is a piece of a circle starting at the center, going to the edge of the circle. That piece is called the radius, and that measure is 2x. The side length of the metal frame is 8x. Remember, in the square, all the sides are equal, so 8x is the measure of all the sides of the frame. We need to find the area of both the circle and the square. So let's find the area of the square first. It's going to be side squared because length times width is the area, and all the sides are the same, so just take one of our sides and square it. So our side length is 8x. So we're going to square 8x. So bring the exponent into each, or multiplying 8x times 8x, you'll have 64x squared. So that's the area of the square. Now we need to find the area of the circle. The formula for the area of a circle is pi r squared. Our radius is 2x. So we have 2x being squared, or 2x times 2x, which is 4x squared. So we have 4 pi x squared. being the area of the circle. Now to find the area of the frame, we need to subtract the area of the square from the area of the circle. So this expression here will be the area of the frame. But we are not done yet. It asks us to write our answer in factored form, so we have to factor this. So looking for our GCF, looking at the 64 and 4, the largest number that can be divided out of both is 4. Looking at our variables, we have x squared and x squared. Obviously, we could take an x squared out of both. So now 64 divided by 4 will be 16. So parentheses 16, x squared divided by x squared will be 1. Now we have 4 divided by 4, which is 1. And then x squared divided by x squared, which is 1. So we're just going to be left with pi. So the answer is going to be 4x squared parentheses 16 minus pi. So let's type that in. So typing in, we have 4x squared parentheses 16 minus pi parentheses. And that's number 9. Number 10, it says factor the polynomial. Let's take a closer look at it. So we look at our terms and try to find the GCF. So looking at our coefficients first, we have 13 and 39. You can divide 13 out of both of those, so that is the GCF. Now we look at the x's. Look at the smallest one, which is just x, and take that out. Looking at the y's, take out the smallest y, which is y squared, and we take that out. So now dividing the first term by 13xy squared, and you get just 13 divided by 13 is 1, x divided by x is 1, y to the 4th divided by y squared is y squared. Now we have 39 divided by 13, which is 3. X squared divided by x is just x, and y squared divided by y squared is just 1. So my answer will be 13xy squared times, in parentheses, y squared plus 3x. So let's type that in. So typing in, we have 13x y squared, in parentheses, y squared plus 3x. That's number 10.